Caleb Durward, the player that comes to mind. He's the only person that I've actually ever seen play this deck to any sustained success.
Okay.
And that's been years, I think.
It's been a little while.
Yeah.
This is not a deck that when you go to Legacy tournament that you expect to play against or we expect to see on camera. There was a brief amount of time when we had, the mono red version or sometimes a red splash white version during the summer of last year to police all of the Esper Deathblade decks with Blood Moons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think the mono red or the mostly red versions, basically the Blood Moon versions,
yes.
I think they won ultimately. Like that would eventually, it was determined that was the best way to build a Painter Servant combo deck. But the blue-red decks, they're out in force this weekend.
I can dig it. Here's an Inquisition of Codes. I'd like to start things off for Murphy. Again, Esper Stoneblade here for him. He's down to 19 from the blue to Delta. Here we go with a Grindstone, a Forcible, and Intuition. Along with a Senses Divining Top, a Lion's Eye Diamond. Lands are Seed of the Synod and a Scalding Tarn.
Yeah, so Sensei's Divining Top and Intuition are like the action cards in this hand. So I think those are the ones you're looking for here. So the blue splat, what you're basically getting out of blue is Intuition and Force of Will. There's one Transmute artifact in this list, and then you gain the ability to Intuition, put artifact-y combo pieces in your graveyard, and then loop them in and out of the graveyard with Goblin Welder.
Yep.
So
looks like the top.
Yeah, it looks like snipe the top. So
I'm always scared of top. So
yeah, I mean, top's just problematic. No one wants to play against a Sensei's Divining Top. Whether or not it's good, it's just annoying.
I'm also scared of this card when it comes into play too. I never like playing against a Grindstone against this deck. I hope that I can like take their Grindstone or kill their Grindstone. Do get a little scared, but I would rather not play against top. It's, I'm Tim Murphy playing an Esper Stoneblade deck. My deck doesn't kill very quickly.
Yeah.
So I don't want to give my opponent time to spin and fetch and all that jazz.
Yeah. So the Grindstone is in play. So there's not any interacting with it on the stack or with discard or anything like that. Does Tim have any way to actually get it out of play now that it's here?
I'm in search for a Council's Judgment, and I found one.
One.
That's the one.
One whole Council's Judgment.
He's going to brainstorm. Don't know if he's looking for that in particular or just trying to set up his draw here on turn number 2. Not going to find a Stoneforge Mystic on this turn. Looks like he's ready to put 2 cards back. Of course, looking to keep a fetch land. Looks like there might be a Supreme Verdict there. He's got one of those in his main deck. Not ideal for this matchup.
No. We talked about Blue-Red Painter being kind of a variant that fell by the wayside. Esper Stoneblade, not really the deck it once was either.
Nowhere near as popular as it used to be, especially, last year. I think everyone has really moved on to Deathblade, mostly, if you're looking to play this kind of deck. There are definitely people who kind of hold on, your Shaheen Saronis of the world, where they don't want to switch, but by and large, this deck is kind of gone.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, they kind of geared a little faster and maybe more mid-rangey with Deathblade.
Yep.
A good number of other people geared a little slower and more control-y. Moving into Miracles. Miracles is a deck that I think has grown in popularity in that time.
After seeing just it continue to do well, I think people got the opportunity to see it kind of play on camera a lot to really understand all the interactions, because it is kind of daunting at first if you've never played it before. But once you see it in action and figure out all the things that you can do with it, I think that actually got people to start wanting to actually play it more. And I think that's part of the reason that we see it more. Also, it's a fantastic deck. It's really good.
Well, it's very good, yes.
Yeah, it's very, very good.
Fantastic is not the word I would use.
I think it's one of the best decks in Legacy.
Well, yeah, I do too. I just get a little sad whenever I see it.
Why?
It just sucks all the fun out of the room.
But people have different ideas of fun.
That is fair.
That's all. I would never play Miracles. That's not fun to me.
That is true. We're a couple of Dredge players talking about what isn't fun too. So
that's also true.
That's reasonable.
Tree Nemesis is coming down. Jesse Olson is the name. So, of course, he's not going to be able to take care of that. Olson does play a 3rd land, though, so it might be Intuition time soon.
Speaking of not fun, how about True Name Nemesis?
It's a trained Armadon, man.
That's not true. It only has 1 toughness.
I'm fine with this being a card.
All right, fair enough.
It's very beatable.
Sure.
This is an attack for 3.
Yeah, Tim Murphy has found Force of Will. We know he has a Supreme Verdict. Did he shuffle away the Supreme Verdict?
I'm not entirely sure if he did shuffle away the Supreme Verdict. I think actually part of the reason he might keep the Supreme Verdict because he needs a blue card to remove to Force of Will.
I was about to say, we know he has a blue card to go with a Force of Will, but actually I guess we don't know that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you have to snap Force of Will any Intuitions.
I'm inclined to agree with you. I do not want that card resolving in this matchup.
There's an argument whenever someone casts a tutor that maybe you just let them tutor up whatever they want and then counter whatever they get. Particularly with Intuition, because it actually thins redundant copies out of their deck. Except it puts it in their graveyard, which is just as problematic here.
Well, intuition is resolving, so this might be a situation where I'm going to try to counter your Painter Servant because that's what it looks like. Excuse me, Olson's going to be searching for to get the combo in line.
Yeah, again, has the Grindstone in play, so Painter Servant would lock it up. And in fact, if Painter Servant enters play, that Lion's Eye Diamond means that it can be activated. Well, the Grindstone can be activated immediately. Now, Tim does have Swords to Plowshares in his hand, so that can actually, he can respond to the Grindstone activation by exiling the Painter Servant as well.
Now, one of the fun things about this is if Jesse doesn't feel it's safe, he can just play Painter Servant and then just kind of have a staring contest.
Sure.
He doesn't have to actually move first, because when you do activate the Lion's Eye Diamond, he has to discard his hand.
Right.
And so then if a Swords comes off in response to the activation, his hand's gone, can't protect it with Force of Will. It gets kind of bad in that situation. I like that if Jesse plays the Painter Servant here, if I'm in his seat, I play this, if it resolves, that's cool, and then I just sit there and I look at you. And I don't really do anything until it's actually time to move, because he's at 16.
Sure. Yeah.
You know?
Maybe attack for one while you're at it.
Yeah, sure. Chop him down a little bit.
And I guess we're not quite clear if this is even resolved yet.
Yeah, it looks like it's on the stack and looking for clarification on how this does work. Painter Servant is a little bit of an interesting card. You know, just how exactly does this card work? You know, it's as it comes into play, you choose a color. Everything is that color. Cards in your hand, cards in your deck, all that good stuff.
Yeah. Notably, if Jesse named blue, okay, it looks like it did resolve. Yeah, Jesse did name blue. So that actually turns the Force of Will on.
Yep.
Yeah, Tim can now pitch the island to cast Force of Will.
If Tim knows that interaction.
True. And again, there was some questioning with the table judge. It would seem to me that is the interaction we would be asking about. But maybe he doesn't. But either way, Goblin Welder are going to resolve as well. So at this stage, actually, even if we... Well, no, the Swords of Plowshares exiles. I'm going to say we could even get the Painter Servant back into play if it's removed in response to the activation.
Yes, but so Swords kills the one that's in play, but then you can weld in one from your graveyard.
True.
So he's actually setting up what is kind of, it's weird to call it a lock, but basically what Olson is doing right now is he's making it so that Murphy can't really get himself out of the situation, because here's the Swords, right? If you activate the Lion's Eye Diamond, you know, you lose your hand. And here's a Force of Will actually on the Swords. This is going to be probably a Force of Will back. So we'll actually see what takes place here first before potential plays.
Yeah, and Force of Will back, pitching the island, as we mentioned. So
that's going to get exiled. Yeah. But that's okay, because he has a Welder in play that he can weld back in Painter Servant now. So he's actually doing just fine, even though he lost this Painter Servant.
Yeah, and Jesse can actually activate the Grindstone and then weld the Grindstone out of play.
Yeah, that's a cute interaction.
Yeah.
We'll see if it comes up here or not.
All you need is the activation on the stack. You don't actually need the Grindstone itself. It helps, but...
Murphy's last two cards here are Swords of Plowshares and Stoneforge Mystic. Looks like he may only have one source of white mana left, however, 2 Underground Seas, a Tundra, and then a Plains. And again, the interesting thing about the Painter deck is how many times has Tim Murphy actually played against this? How many times have anyone really played against this deck? It's kind of a foreign deck in Legacy. You don't see it a lot.
Yeah, and even the mono red versions don't traditionally play Welder, even though it is a red card. So I think if I'm Tim there, knowing how Jesse's deck works, I think I am pretty eager to actually just get rid of that Goblin Welder before Jesse gets to untap with it.
Because that's the card that really is the bigger problem now. Now that you've got Painter off the table, this is the big problem, because now he's going to say, okay, I'm going to go after your library with Grindstone with the Painter. Okay, you killed that one. Yeah, that's fine. I still have a Welder and another Painter in the graveyard, so now you need to get rid of this happening again.
Right, and there is, well, there are two actually, Artifact lands just sitting there in place. So, and the Grindstone itself if we need it.
Plenty of ammo for the Welder.
So yeah, this activation coming again next turn, unless Tim finds something, and he did.
Like he did.
Yeah, not bad.
It's a Liliana Veil at the top of the deck. That is an answer. If I were Tim Murphy, I would cast that.
Look at you.
Yeah, I know.
Big plays.
I'm on top of my game this evening.
If I'm Tim Murphy, I would have cast it faster.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. That's going to tick down. Goblin Welder's off the table. Trinity Nemesis is going to come on in. And now Tim is kind of coming from two different angles, the grip as well as damage. So Jesse Olson is still in a pretty good spot, but he's definitely under the gun here.
I wouldn't even say Jesse's in a good spot anymore.
You don't think so?
I mean, he has 4 Painter Servants in his deck. 2 are gone. 1's in the graveyard, where he kind of has access to it. But he's basically drawing to the remaining Painter Servant, 3 of the 4 remaining Goblin Welders, and he has to find it basically this turn. Because if he finds it a turn afterwards, it has to stay in play for a turn, and then the Liliana can kill it.
Well, we've got ourselves an intuition here. You saw Olson play a land first. This is actually really important because I think he might be searching up 3 Goblin Welders. That's 1. Here comes number 2 and number 3. And so what he can do here is he can play Goblin Welder and get ready to try to set up the kill yet again next turn. So some nice redundancy here.
Yeah, and again, needed it this turn. Luck, I don't know if he drew the intuition or if he already had it, but fortunately is going to be able to get it in play this turn so that he can untap before Liliana can actually kill it off. So Tim now in the spot where he needs to redraw an answer to a creature in order to keep from dying to this combo. And
how did we do?
Did we get it? Did we get it? We got to brainstorm. We got some shots.
We got redraws.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a real sweat here in just a moment.
Let's see if he peels them off one at a time.
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
That's 1. True name. That's like Treasure Cruise is among those cards. There's Stoneforge Mystic and I think another True Nemesis. So that is not what he's looking for.
No. So the Treasure Cruise actually only gets to see 1 fresh card unless he finds a way to shuffle, which he can shuffle with Stoneforge Mystic.
Yeah, he can go through like kind of a weird about way where he puts 2 cards back, shuffles with Stoneforge Mystic, he gets an equipment out of his deck, last mana left over allows him to cast a Treasure Cruise, but then he'd have to run into like Swords of Plowshares plus White Source.
Yeah. Which,
not entirely sure how likely that is versus just seeing a 3rd card down.
Right. And let's see, we know he has cast 1. Maybe was it 2? Yeah. 2. Okay, he's cast 2 of his presumably 4. Yeah. So he has 2 Swords of Plowshares left in the deck. The 1 Supreme Verdict, which doesn't have enough mana left, and 1 Council's Judgment, I guess, are his only ends. And then the second Liliana.
Yep.
Jace would do it, actually. But again, we're
mana is a bit of a constraint.
Yep. Too many manas. That
Murphy
Jace.
going to search up an Umezawa's Jite.
Okay, so it looks like he is actually going for the shuffle and Treasure Cruise. So 3 cards, Swords of Plowshares plus white card. I'm kind of rooting for him. I want to see it.
It would be a pretty nice hit. I will say that.
I've already seen 1 desperation, sweet blue card, draw the sweet cards, and go for the win.
Yeah, that's what Legacy's all about,
So
here's the cruise.
See if we can get the sequel. Treasure Cruise basically is the sequel to Brainstorm. That's kind of how I look at it. So Treasure Cruise in full-blown Ancestral Recall mode.
All right, it's going to be drawing 3 cards.
There's the swords.
It's the
last one.
It's a Council's Judgment. Man, 1 short.
Wow.
He's going to take up Liliana. I do like making him go through it.
Sure.
I will say that. He's going to discard the Jite. Attack here for 3.
Get in there.
Yeah, don't forget your damage either.
Doesn't hurt.
Also going to untap, draw a card.
And yeah, Jesse has to. You have to go for it here.
Yeah,
you're tapped out. There's no reason not to.
Yeah, you float 3. You activate the Welder. You weld out an artifact land. You weld in the Painter. You name a color. You activate the Grindstone, and that should take you home.
Unless Tim's got some Eldrazi up his
I hope he
sleeve
does
or
that.
something.
Yeah, an Eldrazi lurking in there.
No.
Pass the turn back. Tim, you may draw a card if you'd like. And he's
Nah.
trying.
Where'd it go? Where did the cards go?
Can't do it. Jesse Olson going to win game number 1 here over Tim Murphy. Blue-Red Painter up a game here over Esper Stoneblade. Murphy almost got there at that Treasure Cruise.
Yeah, that was that for a game that looked like a blowout. That game swung and then swung back, and the game got good real quick.
Would have been pretty sick if he hit.
I know, and he was so close too.
Sideboard time, we go to Tim Murphy. See 2 Thoughtseize, 2 Meddling Mage, 2 Rest in Peace, a Pithy Needle, a Disenchant, 2 Fluster Storms, a Hydroblast, an Engineered Explosives, a Zealous Persecution, a Toxic Deluge, and a Perish. I love Thoughtseize since he's playing against a combo deck. I love Meddling Mage since he's playing against a combo deck. Rest in Peace is actually pretty good here too, based off of what we just saw with Intuition and the use of the Graveyard.
Yeah.
So that's 6 cards. Needle is actually 7. Disenchant is 8. Do you like Hydroblast, excuse me. It's kind of narrow. Kills a Welder.
Killing Welder is a pretty big game, though.
Okay.
I like it, but again, we're already up to what, 9 cards?
Yeah, we're looking at 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. We're at least up to 8. Hydroblast would be number 9, and we haven't even mentioned Engineered Explosives, which is pretty good here. So that because potentially card number 10.
Yeah. If you're Tim, I think you know you have good cards to bring in. I think really the decisions you have to make are what can you afford to trim? Yeah, how much of your core can you remove? Are you still a Stoneforge deck after sideboard? Like how do you make room for all this?
I think that's the big issue. You know,
Yeah.
if you're not a Stoneforge deck anymore, you can board out your Stoneforge in your equipment package. But GTA kind of makes things pretty safe if you can get that online. So maybe you don't go that route. True Name's pretty slow. I do like Snapcaster when combination with discard, so I want to leave that in. And I love Vendilion Click against these combo decks. But you've got a lot of options as far as cards to board out here. So I don't know if you can board in all of those cards. But we'll see what Murphy decides to do as we take a look at Olson's sideboard.
Olson has access to 2 Tormod's Crypt, 1 Emrakul the Aeon's Torn, 2 Wormcoil Engine, 2 Misdirection, 2 Blood Moon, 3 Lawan Cephalid Empress, and 3 Spellskite. And I'm not going to lie, some of these cards, I don't offhand know why they're here. What are we Wormcoil Engineing?
So sometimes you got to get big.
I mean, sometimes you just need a 6/6.
Sometimes you got to weld it a 6/6.
Okay.
Intuition, get that thing in the bin, and weld it in.
Fair enough.
I like that.
Okay. I don't think we are welding in Wormcoils against the Swords of Plowshares.
No, probably not. No.
All right. So we get really no mileage out of Tormod's Crypt. We could maybe break up some Snapcaster mages. I don't love it. Emrakul, we're not there. This is Emrakul, I presume, is for...
I hope it's for the mirror so
yeah,
much.
that's what I'm thinking,
I
actually.
hope
Which is a good call in this room.
Yeah.
Because there's another one of these guys out there.
I mean, if he knows the metagame in the area and he's local, then it's not out of the question that he should do this.
Yeah, I want to say among the players who were still in contention after round 5, there were 5 Painter Servant decks.
Okay.
That's out of maybe 30 or 40 players.
Sure.
So that's reasonable. In terms of what we're actually bringing in, the Spellskite, I think, it's insurance against Swords of Plowshares. It's also insurance against Liliana in a roundabout way.
Yeah, I like having that in, and I like the Blood Moons. I think Blood Moon is super easy.
Well, let's see. What kind of... So Tim does have access to 2 islands, a plains, and a swamp.
Yes.
And a lot of fetch lands.
Yes.
So he can set himself up to be insulated against Blood Moon if he would like.
I still love it. I'm still boarding it in. I'm still hoping to get my opponent with it, because if their draw lines up in such a way where Blood Moon is a backbreaker, they just don't get to play Magic anymore.
Sure.
I like having it. I think, like, you know, there's not a huge cost to boarding it in. I imagine he's got plenty of cards to sideboard out. I don't think he needs a card like Lion's Eye Diamond in this matchup or Tormod's Crypt. I think he can make room for 2 copies of that.
That's true. We have one Lion's Eye Diamond, 1 Tormod's Crypt, 1 Transmute Artifact, 1 Misdirection. A lot of odd one-ofs. These aren't things you can search for.
Yeah.
And then one red Elemental Blast to go with 3 Pyroblast. The blasts are kind of odd. Now, there are blue cards, of course, in Tim's deck.
Yeah, I mean, there's also the combo, of course, with Painter
Right.
Servant, but I don't know how great blasts are in this matchup. I feel like they're just okay.
Yeah, the blue cards aren't really the cards you're trying to fight, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think you're much more worried about discard.
Yep. Swords and discard spells, so maybe you slim down on some of the blasts too. Though I must say, I do like the use of Lawan Cephalid Empress in the sideboard in combination with Painter Servant. I think that is super adorable.
Yeah. And speaking of cards that have fallen by the wayside.
Lawan?
Yeah, I remember when Lawan was...
Oh, it's not like 2010 anymore.
or 2007 or
yeah,
whatever.
It's a little, the years have moved, the years have gone by.
Yeah.
You know, Merfolk decks are gone for the most part.
There was one in the room.
Very much.
I saw him.
Yeah.
He was there. He was having a blast. He was catching some curses.
We don't see those very much, as
No,
I
we
said.
don't. But that honestly used to be like the tier 1 deck.
It was very good for a while. It was really, really good for a while.
I feel like the first Legacy tournament I ever played, which was in December of 2009.
Okay.
I played Merfolk, and I think it was the most popular deck in the room.
I played Merfolk in an invitational in Indianapolis that I can't remember who won that one. I don't think Jerry won that one.
Pat Cox won that one. Anyway,
you might be right.
You played Merfolk.
I'm an old man.
Yeah, you played Merfolk, and you had Lawan on your sideboard, didn't you?
Probably.
Because you had to have something for the mirror.
Yeah, this is when Gristlebrand. This is when Reanimator was like the deck to beat, and everyone was Gristlebranding.
Okay, maybe that wasn't then. That's a different invitational in Indy then. Pat Cox did not win that one.
I think it was Lauren Nolan beat Hetrick in the finals.
There we go.
I think it was that one.
There we go.
Yep. Shout out to both Lauren Nolan and Michael Hetrick.
Yeah.
Haven't seen either one of those guys in a while.
I bring that up, honestly. The reason I bring up Merfolk is because when I first saw the Cephalid Empress, like, yes, it's a combo with Painter Servant, but that's not where my mind went.
Okay, I don't know where it went then.
Well, my mind was like, why does he need an anti-Merfolk card?
I can't imagine this deck ever beating Merfolk. Ever.
It's 3-1. What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, that will make it better.
He's ready.
Yeah, that will make it better.
Yeah, but as you mentioned, like, it's there for the lockout with Painter Servant.
Yeah.
Like, I think just happening to be a very good card against Merfolk is the kind
How
of
sweet would it be? You play a turn. This deck doesn't really have like a lot of acceleration. I don't think it has any. It has Mox Opal. You play a turn 2 Painter Servant named Blue against Elves. play Lawan.
Yeah, sure.
Pick up your stuff.
Why not? Get out.
You can't do anything.
Yep.
I think that would be a sweet way to win.
Nah, and then they fetch up a Dryad Arbor and then Natural Order for Progenitus, and you still lose.
You make a compelling argument.
Yeah, that's rough.
You make a compelling argument. All right, so they have a way out.
Yeah, they do.
So
they do.
What?
The coolest interaction I ever saw with Painter Servant was naming black against the Cephalid breakfast combo that used Karmic Guide and Kiki Jiki.
Okay.
So he just named black and then just let the guy go off. And then he got Karmic Guide, brought back Kiki Jiki, tried to copy the Karmic Guide, and he's like, no, your Kiki Jiki's black.
Oh.
And you're dead.
Oh.
Yeah, that was nice.
That's why Legacy is sweet. Inquisition of Kozilek's now. We're going to start game number 2 here on Murphy's side. Olson maybe considering Force of Will as he brings 2 cards forward to protect something here. That's a long look.
Yeah, I didn't catch the full glimpse of what all we have access to. Looks like, is that a Judge Force of Will?
Try again.
Is that misdirection
Nailed
would be
it.
the other thing.
Nailed it.
I didn't know if there was a Judge.
I just want to give you a second shot.
Yeah, well, it's one or the other, and
it could be Disrupting Shoal.
It could be Disrupting Shoal.
Take that.
Accurate. But yeah, it is misdirection. You can, in fact, misdirection an Inquisition of Kozilek. It does say target player.
Oh, we're fighting back.
Nice.
Force of Will removing Hydroblast. All of a sudden, both players have like 4 cards in their hand.
Sure.
It's the first turn of the game.
Okay, that is a conspiracy misdirection then.
Very nice. That a boy.
I did not know that conspiracy had misdirections.
Force of Will, City of Traders, Volcanic Island, and a Scalding Tarn are the cards that are left.
Hey, no targets for Inquisition of Kozilek. Joke's on you, Tim Murphy.
Well, he took the Intuition.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's gone.
All right. I thought he pitched it. I was thinking
Ooh, that's a nice top deck. I like that top deck.
I missed it again.
That's Sensei's Divine top. I like that top deck. That's a very powerful card.
Sensei's Divining Top, kind of like the prequel to Brainstorm, I guess. It has a Brainstorm-like functionality. JC basically just drew 3 cards.
Prequels and sequels here in round number 8.
Yeah, okay. No,
our Legacy
all
Open.
right, Sensei's Divining Top, the reboot to Brainstorm.
Sure. It's Matrix Reloaded,
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
guess.
It's the Michael Bay version of Brainstorm.
You have to leave now.
Do I really?
Yeah, because anything Michael Bay related is not okay. It's just not okay.
You say that, and then I'll just get up and leave, and then you're stuck.
Yeah. That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. As long as there are no Michael Bay name drops, that's fine.
Okay.
Gonna spin to the top.
The Michael Bay top?
Please stop.
Yeah, okay. All right, fine. Fine. Cedric the Fun Police Phillips, ladies and gentlemen.
Gonna put these cards back here. Will Olson. We know he's got lands to play. Don't know if he's going to play a fetch land or not this turn. He will with a Tarn. Don't know if he's going to use it, but we'll see how he wants to move forward. Don't think he liked those 3 cards that you saw. Put him back pretty quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't catch a glimpse of him. Did we?
Not a great look, but it did not look like he was too thrilled with what he saw. So he's just going to pass the turn back over to Murphy, who is stuck on 1 land. Jesse's going to do a little bit of a dance.
A jig.
Yeah, a jig.
Yeah. Tim's stuck on 1 land. He basically detract himself by casting that Force of Will.
Yeah.
And so I think Jesse knows he's got time.
Time is certainly on his side, and when he draws Sensei Divine Top, after all of that discarding took place, that arguably could be the best draw in his deck in that situation.
Absolutely. And he is using that time to the fullest. Tilt him a little down. Come on, I want to see what you're working with here.
He's looking at the top there. That one's going to go to the bottom.
The second top, not nearly as good.
No, the sequel to the first top,
there we
not
go.
Nearly as
yeah.
good.
Well, that's how you know Sensei's Top is a cheap knockoff of Brainstorm, because the second Brainstorm, fantastic.
True.
The second Ancestral Recall, like way better.
Yes.
The second Treasure Cruise, kind of in the middle, actually.
No, the second Treasure Cruise is busted.
It can be, but maybe it cost 8.
That's cool. It's fine.
The first Spellskite, on the other hand, always okay.
Yes, this is the protection that we're looking for the Painter Servant and the Grindstone. Tim is looking at a Force Will in his hand. He just drew a copy of Engineered Explosives. You also see there's a Spell Pierce over there, too. It looks like he's going to play Explosives on 1. Give himself a little protection around Grindstone if possible. Mm-hmm. Olson going to take a look. We'll do the same. This is the modern Masters version of Engineered Explosives.
So Engineered Explosives, as you mentioned, can take out Grindstone, and Goblin Welder. So actually, top on 1, pretty strong insulation. You can also force the use of a Sensei's Divining Top.
Yeah.
That's an interaction that we may see come to fruition.
Let's see if top's going to come down again, as that should be the draw for the turn.
One would assume. The other options are
looks like just mostly reactive stuff. There's a Pyroblast over there, and there's also a copy of Force of Will.
So basically top or bust.
All right, it will be a top. Looks like he might just be drawing a card right away. Okay, well, he knows the top card of his deck, of course, so going to play a Painter Servant.
Okay.
All right. We're getting it all set up now.
Sure, and with that red blast, of course, he can name blue and then get rid of the engineered explosives.
This is true. We're going to have a little bit of a battle, I think, over this, however.
Yeah. We know Force of Will, in hand, Tritium Nemesis available to pitch.
Jesse can't sacrifice his Scalding Turn fast enough. He's going to lose his top to do that. Now, let's not forget as well, City of Trader says when you play a land, not when a land comes into play. So, by sacrificing a fetch land and searching up a Volcanic Island, City of Traders will not leave.
So we still have the full 4 mana, which would be enough to, if we drew a Grindstone, immediately play it and activate it.
Now, there is a little bit of concern here, right? Because, you know, he's probably got to Pyroblast this, and that means that if Tim just draws a land, he gets, well, I guess explosives on 1, not on 2. So, okay, never mind. He's fine.
Yeah, if Tim draws a land, he can threaten to destroy a Grindstone or a Welder.
I take it all back.
Well, it'd be good. I mean, having the land and being able to threaten the activation, that gives him more range than he currently has.
Painter Servant, of course, on blue. Swords of Postures was the draw for Murphy, but his land is an Underground Sea. He's got blue and black mana,
which allows him to hold up that Spell Pierce, but not much else.
See the hand there for Olson. He's got an Intuition, a Force of Will, and a Mox Opal. Mox Opal conveniently blue due to Painter Servant. Going to show him who the boss is by attacking for 1.
Rumble.
You never know.
I wonder how many games have been won in Open Series history with Painter Servant damage.
Probably more than we think, because I'm thinking 0.
Yeah, well, I would not think 0. It has to have happened. I'm just curious if it's, you know, like, is that always like a plan B on your mind when you're playing this deck? I would assume not.
I think it's perfect to get your damage in. I guess in this particular version, damage is probably not something that happens a lot. You're going to see Force of Will removing Mox Opal, which is blue, thanks to Painter Servant on this Thoughtseize. But in the mono red version, where they have Imperial Recruiters and Jaya Ballard and stuff like that,
right,
damage is actually
yeah, sure. In those matchups, damage matters a lot. And the shields are down, and I think the win is on the table if Jesse wants it here.
It's go time.
Yeah.
You know, the only thing that Murphy could have in this situation is Force of Will plus a blue card to really stop this. And he's going to search up not 1, not 2, but 3 copies of Grindstone. And
Tim says that one.
Yeah, you can have that pretty one. The other ones will go to the graveyard.
The prequel and the other prequel will go to the graveyard?
Yeah, that's it. Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Just got to make sure. We want to make sure we use correct terms here.
Indeed. Indeed. Grindstone will go to the grip. Olson will get to draw a card here, but he's got some nice protection with the Spell Scout out there. It'll take Force Will plus blue card. This is a Grindstone.
Force Will plus card, to be fair.
Yes, this is true.
But Tim doesn't have it.
Dump the deck. I think Tim Murphy's going to try to draw a card again, isn't he?
Yeah. Didn't work last time, but...
That's a lot of Swords of Plowshares.
That is. We could have sent so many Painter Servants to the farm.
Jesse Olson going to win this match over Tim Murphy. 2-0. Blue-Red Painter going to down Esper Stoneblade. Don't know if Jesse can draw in, but he moves on to 7-1. And with any luck, he'll be playing in our elimination rounds.
Yeah, we are actually just over the cusp of 9 rounds. We were about 20 players more than we needed for 9 rounds. So basically, anyone who makes it to 7-1 gets to draw.
Well.
I don't want to say that with absolute certainty.
Okay.
If I say it with absolute certainty, I will end up being wrong. I know how this works.
That's how that works.
I've been there before. But, yeah, I would guess that nearly everyone gets to draw this time.
Well, Jesse Olson, likely we will see you in our elimination rounds.
Probably.
One Blue-Red Painter deck looks like it has locked it up as we're going to come back to the booth.